Hello. Welcome to another episode of Dropping Into Happiness. I promise I guess I'm just always laughing, or as Maggie's making me giggle right now. So if you are on YouTube, you might be seeing an additional face. I will introduce this special guest in just a second, but just to get us started, for those that may be new to this podcast, we are your hosts. I am Rachel.
And I'm Maggie.
Yay! And today, guest, would you like to introduce yourself quickly? Because I do have some announcements, but I want you to be able to say who you are real quick.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Justin. I'm super excited to be here with you all this evening. Do you want me to introduce myself now as part of who I am, or?
Well, you know what? Okay, I have some announcements, and then I want to deep dive into who is Justin, and then we'll get into our topic. So, for those who are tuning in this week, our topic came about from another episode. So, the episode about stop saying these words and phrases. Me and Maggie, near the end of it, the term dad bod came out, and we were like, wow, we want to talk about that, because I feel like so often we understand the pressures that society puts on women when it comes to their bodies, but we don't really think about what it does to men. So we wanted to talk to a friend of ours, because Justin is also part of our WW virtual world. So we're bringing him in as one of our WW friends. But like I said, I do have a couple announcements today. So first of all, we always like to thank everybody for the ratings and reviews. We just got another review the other day, and it was so adorable. Thank you so much for everybody who ever does that. That helps us. That helps us get seen by more people, and it's just really helpful all around. So thank you. Also, we had put out, a few weeks ago, we were looking for a name for our listeners, and y'all gave me some awesome recommendations. We voted on it on Instagram, and I'm telling you, so there's a top 3, and I'm telling you, I think we should use all 3 because I love them. So our unanimously though, and we had about 100 votes, by the way, so it wasn't just a couple votes. It was about 100 votes. Unanimously, Sun Drops. So y'all are our Sun Drops. So thanks for tuning in, Sun Drops. I'm going to try to figure out some merch for that because I just love it. But the other 2 that I think we're still going to utilize is Dewdrops, D-O, because we're doing it. So Dewdrops.
Yes.
And then Drop Stars. I know. Isn't that one fun?
I love those.
I feel like we're about to drop an album though. Drop Stars.
Drop
the mic.
Somebody, I don't remember who it was now, but on Instagram, she was like, if it's not Drop Stars, we riot. She was so passionate about her book.
I love that energy.
Sun Drops, and we've been thinking about doing a Patreon, and I want to hold on to those names though, so we can have different levels, and so we can have people who want to be Dewdrops, people who want to be Sun Drops, and people who want to be Drop Stars. So
yeah, very fun. So if y'all would be interested in a Patreon from us, some special exclusive content, let us know in comments. Send us a message, an email, because we'd like to kind of gauge interest on that, because it's definitely something that we've been thinking about pursuing.
Yeah, we've been thinking, but that's a great idea. Let us know what kinds of things would make it a good value for you. If you want extra content, if you want a Monday motivation, if you want, obviously we could do discounts to the merch store and things like that. So let us know what you'd be interested in. Should we do a Patreon? So fun. And then one more announcement, because today is June 15th. You know what tomorrow is?
Rachel's birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's your birthday. Yes. Way to go, you. It's a big birthday, yeah.
I know. Yes, and it's so funny. I'm very pleased. Anybody that I have told in our virtual WW workshops, when I tell them how old I'm going to be, they're like, nah. And that's a very appropriate response.
We should make Justin guess. How
Justin,
old you're turning.
You know how old I'm turning?
I listened to the podcast, so I already know. I think that you said it in the podcast before.
I have.
So, yeah. So, I know your age, or what your age is going to be, but, yeah.
He's like, I'm going to be a gentleman and not announce it.
He's a fellow listener. He's a Sun Drop. You are a Sun Drop, Justin.
Yes. Yeah, so I will officially be 40. Some of the things I'm very excited about is I've yet to see a gray hair, which I feel like saying that out loud, though it's probably as of the 16th, it's gonna be boop, I don't know if the first one's gonna pop up on that day. And I have yet to get crow's feet. So those are 2 things I'm very excited about right now.
Hashtag blessed.
Also, I think I've told Maggie too, this is the fittest I've been as an adult. So I'm actually excited about who I am and who I've become hitting 40. I feel like my body is just getting to such a great peak, and I'm hitting my 40s, you know, with hitting the ground running. So I'm not letting anything hold me back. Like Maggie and I have talked about this year, we want to go paddleboarding, and I fully intend to do that this month. Like that's kind of my goal is this month for birthday month. That was an activity I wanted to do. And Maggie and I have been talking about that since January, I think, huh? That was like one of our
to be fair, this is the season for it. Okay. Yeah. To be fair, we're not like just holding out on you, but I think that's awesome. We're so excited for you, Rachel. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I know. And I'm such a horror movie nut. Did anybody see the movie, Happy Death Day? Oh, no. Crickets. Okay. So nobody's seen it. She essentially, it's like a Groundhog Day in horror movie form, but her cell phone rings and it's a ringtone. And I'm wondering if I can find it. And it says, "Hey, it's my birthday." And I don't gotta pick up the phone. So I'm gonna see if I can find that ringtone. So if anybody knows if it's for real or not, I want to use it. Okay. Yes, all right. Enough with the fun stuff. But so, Justin, let's jump on in with you now. So, tell us kind of, because you are not just with WW, right? Like you're just kind of in the wellness industry, are you not?
I would say WW is WW got me into wellness. I guess we'll start there. So I joined WW. I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary next week. I joined Saturday, June 15th, 2019 at 7 p.m. I looked it up today in my email, and I was super
the day
excited.
This episode launches.
Yes,
will be
it's your anniversary.
Yeah. Very cool. We didn't even plan that.
I know.
Yeah, so I am a WW member through and through. That's what I always say to people. I lost 96 pounds on WW, and I'm on my way to lifetime.
Yes,
it's been a long journey, and I always like to put that out there. Like it's not gonna. For some people, it might happen in 1 year. For me, it's 3+ years. So it's been taking a little bit longer for me, but on my way to lifetime. I'm an Orange Theory person. I have a Peloton behind me, and I became a runner, really inspired by Maggie, by all of her running. So I've become a runner. I'm really excited to run my first marathon in November of this year.
Nice.
So that's
so exciting. In a nutshell.
I know.
That's
I like to say that. I tell people that in workshops, like if we're getting, I'm like, "Can I hear your weed in a nutshell?" And they're like, "I don't know if I got a nutshell, but I can try." Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so jumping into our topic. So, did you hear that episode when we brought up the whole dad bod situation? What do you think of the term dad bod? Because I've been told by some men that they don't find it offensive. I know I'm not a man, but I find it offensive. I don't like the term. So, what about you?
Well,
what do you think?
Especially when I see some men in what they're calling a dad bod. I'm like, oh, what? I mean, I don't even. Look, you know? I don't know. So I would love to hear Justin's thoughts on that first.
Yeah, I think when I hear things like that, I always ask myself, like, what is the intent of that comment? Or what is the intent of that statement? Like, what is the intent of saying, oh my goodness, there's somebody who has a dad bod, or hey, my partner has a dad bod, or whatever. And I find it so curious because sometimes their intent is good, and they mean it. I don't know how. I wouldn't take that personally well if someone were to look at me and be like, "Oh, he has a dad bod." But you know, some people might mean it well, and have a good heart when it comes to what they're saying, and other people might be saying it to spite somebody and to be rude and things like that. And so, I'm a mix up. I wouldn't want somebody to call or say that about me, and I don't like to say that about other people, because I always ask myself, like, what would be the intent of saying, like, my dad has a dad bod or whatever? It doesn't really
like, what does that even mean?
I was talking to a coworker who is started getting very much into his health and wellness in his 50s. You know, he wanted that was actually something he told me I've inspired him to do. Is he's like, I really want to help inspire other men in their 40s and 50s who think, oh, it's too late for me to get in shape. It's too late for this. But I had talked to him about it, and he was like, you know, I wouldn't be offended by the term. But I also think it's the context that it's used in, because the first example I brought up was when they said that about Leonardo DiCaprio, which really bugged me. But another time I've heard it when it comes to, you know, kind of Hollywood-ish, was with Jason Momoa. And it was like 6 months after he filmed Aquaman. And they're like, oh, Jason Momoa let himself go. And I'm like, I'm sorry. body. Do you realize the extent it takes to have Aquaman's body? That is not sustainable. That's not healthy for the way that they train to get ready for these. Like what he looks like now, that's a healthy body. That's a very active man. That's somebody who likes to, be outdoors.
Right.
And that really bothers me because I feel like that's trying to make men feel bad about themselves, even though you can absolutely have a healthy body and not look like Aquaman. Like,
yeah. Justin, I'd like to pick your brain, and I know you can't speak to all men in the world, but
give it a shot.
How right? Do y'all do you notice, do you have conversations with each other about the way that your body looks, or do you notice that you hear men making comments about other men's bodies or whatever, in whatever context? Because I know, I've been in dressing rooms as a performer where girls are just ripping apart their bodies and running up and down stairs so they feel like they look better in their costumes, and I'm just like, is that happening in that folks who identify in that gender, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I'm going to comment on that in a second. One thing, Rachel and Maggie, that we were just talking about that I wanted to bring up real quick is if dad bod is what we're calling people who, quote unquote, let themselves go, such as Aquaman, what is the alternative, right? Like, what is the alternative to a dad bod? Because that's not being brought up. And if that alternative is the quote unquote ideal, I'm curious to know, what that is. So
that's a great point.
I don't know if there is an alternative, but anyways,
right?
I would say I'm of the younger generation, and I have this feeling in the male community that men who are younger tend to, I guess, quote unquote, care more about how they look, and as they get older, there's this saying, or there's more or less this pattern of we let ourselves go, or we're just gonna we have families now, and we drink too much beer, or whatever that might look like. And as you get older, I feel like it's kind of it doesn't really matter. So I would say as somebody who was recently in college and was in high school and played a little bit of sports here and there, and now goes to Orange Theory and things like that. I don't hear it too much currently. But I feel like I hear it from my parents' generation, my dad and his friends, or I've heard it from celebrities that are in their 50s and 60s and things like that. And so I find that to be a little interesting.
Well, and I'm curious, though, like you were saying with the different generations, because generationally, social media is a little bit different when it comes to different generations. And I was literally just thinking about that with my kids the other day. Like, my kids don't know a time where there was not the internet. They don't know a time where there wasn't social media. They don't know that time. And we do. So, well, I know I do. I don't know why y'all two young bucks over here, but I remember that time. And I'm very curious if that has had such an effect on, I mean, men and women alike, of the mindset of this unrealistic body type that is being portrayed so often. I think that's why Maggie and I, with our social media, try to be as real and genuine as possible, because we don't want to portray that unrealistic expectation of it's always going to be this good. I'm always going to be this fit. I'm always going to be this disciplined, because that doesn't happen.
No. Which I think it's interesting that, I appreciate, Rachel, that my content is perceived as real, but I oftentimes, if I have a negative thought about my body or the way that it looks, I'm not one to talk about it on social media, because you never know who's watching, who might be looking at me and thinking, I want to look like her.
Yeah.
And then you hear me saying, oh, I don't look good enough, or I'm sorry guys for how I look on stories right now. And it's just portraying this negative mindset, right? And so it's not that, okay, I don't have negative thoughts about myself, but I don't want to speak them into existence in a way that I hear them and might believe them, and others might hear that and turn it on themselves, because I think, I was asking Justin if they have conversations like this, because I remember sitting in those dressing rooms and hearing those people beat themselves up and thinking, well, gosh, if they think that about themselves, what do they think about me? And I just, it's really stuck with me in that way. So I'm curious for Justin, has your body image impacted your journey in any way? Have you noticed that the way you view yourself has changed since you started? Like, if you would want to talk us through that a little bit, I'd be really interested to hear.
Yeah, I think that's it's a really great question. And as we were just talking about like the social media piece, I think for men, and this is a bigger picture item here, but it's the ability to be vulnerable, right? And it's the in the male community, you know, mental health is very stigmatized and healing is stigmatized, and talking about this kind of stuff is stigmatized in and of itself. Like I read an article today that said over 40% of men are stigmatized when they're trying to lose weight or trying to better themselves. Over 40%. Wow. And men
That's
are overrepresented in a lot of portions of our world, but in this world, they're underrepresented because of that stigmatization. Yeah. So I find that to be interesting. And when it comes to like body image and things like that, I find that to be interesting, right? So there are days where, and I'm sure maybe you two feel the same way, there are days where I'm like, wow, like my body has changed so much over the years as I've been on this journey. And even today, I was kind of like beating myself up right before we were recording. I was at Orange Theory and I was like, I have loose skin and I have, you know, I'm a little bit heavier than my lowest weight that I've ever been. And there are things that, you know, today I was feeling very self-conscious about, or almost like beating myself up about. But then I might have a day like tomorrow where I'm like, Justin, you're hot. Like, you're great. Yeah. You're a good human being, right? And so I think that is interesting how kind of like our mind plays tricks. Yeah. And I would say for me personally, I've always wanted to feel included with other guys that are like my age when I was in college or when I was even growing up. I didn't want to be the last person picked for the kickball team. Right. I didn't want to, you know, I wanted to play the sports and things like that. And I never was that person. I felt very excluded growing up. And so as a guy now, when I look at other guys at Orange Theory or when I'm running in a race or things like that, I'm like, your thighs might be bigger than all these other people's, but you're still doing it just as good as they are. And I think that is really, really powerful in reframing my mindset more recently.
Would you play kickball? Don't you? Like on a team?
I do. Yep. I just started playing kickball. So I started playing kickball quickly. I started playing kickball in March. I joined a free agent team, so like everyone signed up individually. Yeah. And now our kickball team, so that season ended, and now I'm the team captain for the summer league, which is so interesting how that worked itself out. So I find that to be so interesting. But like, you know, at one point I was picked last on a kickball team, and now I'm the team captain of the kickball team.
Oh my gosh! Yes, that is so awesome.
Full circle. Yeah, full circle.
I think about, I've, you know, because I'm a fellow Orange Theory member, and for those that aren't familiar with Orange Theory, it's group fitness, and one of the cool parts of it is we have what are called benchmark days, where we're, you know, put up to a certain test, whether it's, you know, how many miles we can log on the treadmill in a certain amount of time, or how fast we can hit 200 meters on a row, or whatever the case may be. And then we can come back and do it again in a few months and see how we've improved. And I'm with Justin. I was always last, picked on teams. I, you know, was always the one walking in gym, or I always told myself I got the most spirited award, right? I would cheer people on. But again, I wasn't considered first place in anything. And one time I was first place in my studio for my age group on a benchmark. And I was like, holy cow, like, whoa, this is a really full circle moment. Like, I've never been first place in anything athletic. And you know, it does kind of change the perception of my body in those moments, because like Justin said, I have days where I'm like, oh man, I wish my legs didn't look like that in these shorts, or whatever the case may be. But then I'm like, wait a minute, my legs carry me through marathons. My legs row. I'm so strong and row. And I try to reframe it of like what my body can do rather than what it looks like. Rachel, what's your, you know, body image journey been like since you started WWE?
I was very fit and I was very athletic in high school. I played tennis. I was a cheerleader. I did flag football. I was very, very active. And within that first year of getting out of high school, I put on 50 pounds. Bam, easy. And I was never below that from that moment on. And so almost immediately I became extremely less active. And it got to a point where oh, can I do that? I don't know if I can do that anymore. Like, I just kept thinking I wasn't allowed to do it unless I was at that other weight. So I wouldn't even try sometimes. Even like with tennis, I'd be wanting to play with like my nieces and my nephews and be like, oh, I'll just watch you guys. But I a lot of it, we praise WW a lot, but I really did have a phenomenal growth with WW, and not just from me losing the weight, but, meeting people like Maggie and meeting other coaches and talking to members all the time. Like Maggie was saying, like, oh, maybe I don't like how my legs look, but what do they do for me? Like, that mindset has super shifted for me. I don't feel, even if like I know that I don't have like a supermodel body, and I'm like, that does not bother me in any way, shape, or form. And it used to a lot, but it really doesn't anymore. Just, I am who I am. And I said this the other day too, when we were talking about Pride Month with WW is a huge supporter of Pride Month. And that was my thing, that, if we were all the same, God, would that be boring? That would be super boring. So I don't want to be like anybody else. I'm happy that I'm like me, but that took, almost 22 years to get to that point. You know what I mean? Like, it took a very long time, but I'm at the best place. I mean, like I said, going into my 40s, I'm at the best place, probably mentally and physically, that I've ever been as an adult. Yeah. It took a long time. Well, Justin, though, so talking, just, bringing up WW, I don't think a lot of people realize that we have certain workshops. I call them Dudes Group, and I know that's not what they're called. They're called WW Bros, right?
Yes, the WW Bros
Group. I love
group.
that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, sometimes like they just have different challenges, or they feel more comfortable talking to other guys about it. And I'm like, I'm not offended in any way. Like, I love that you guys have that place where they can connect with other guys on the same journey, maybe feeling the same way, the same highs, the same lows, and can understand it more. I love that.
Yeah. Justin, have you noticed any particular benefit from being a part of the WW Bros?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the workshop space, a lot of men have gone into a studio or have gone into a virtual workshop, and it's predominantly women, older women and things like that. And so when they come into this space, it's usually a little bit of a smaller workshop. And people have said, like, I just really like that other people are on this journey with me, right? Like, other people are coaching football with their kids, or other people are doing other things that men are doing on the journey, while also trying to better their lifestyles. And I think that niche is really, really cool in that workshop space. So giving them the opportunity, especially in that like reflect and celebrate section of the workshop, when we talk about what happened the last 5 days in your life, I think that part is really, really helpful for these guys that are coming to these workshops.
I feel like I've started to see more men in my workshops, and I love that. And they're sharing, and they're coming off mute, and they're talking with the group, and I'm loving that so much. Like, I've met some new members recently. Like, I feel like I'm starting to see more and more, and I love that. I love our inclusivity that we have and the diversity that we're seeing in our workshops. And I always tease, like, we are all across the United States and like up into Canada, and like, I just love that we can do this together, no matter how far apart we are. And it just really creates that great sense of community.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have that space. I'm curious because all three of us lost a majority of our weight during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so there's a period of time where people weren't really seeing us. And I want to know if y'all experienced, feelings similar to mine or have a different narrative. I noticed, and I might have mentioned this on a podcast previously, but I noticed when I used to post on Facebook prior to my weight loss journey, I might get the occasional like, oh, you look so pretty, or love your makeup, or love your hair, or you have a pretty face, whatever the case may be. But most of the time it would be whatever I was posting about. Oh, I'm, here I am at this theme park, or here I am at this farmer's market. Oh, and then I started, wasn't posting a lot during the pandemic because there wasn't a lot going on. And then pictures started coming up, and all the comments started to be about what I looked like.
Yeah.
Oh, you look thin. Oh, you're melting away. Oh, like skinny girl, right? And all these things that never would have been addressed prior to my journey. And it almost had a negative effect on me, because it, validated a lot of the feelings that I had when I was overweight, when I was a plus size woman, of my body is not seen for what it is, as beautiful or as valuable. And I'm wondering if you all ever had any similar feelings in your journey.
I think I definitely did, and I still do, and because I'm still continuing to lose. Like, it's been kind of in periods that I've been losing, and so when I see people and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you look so good," I have two thoughts. Like, did I not look good enough before?
Yeah.
Was I not worthy enough for that comment beforehand?
Yeah.
And my second comment there is, does my weight define me as a human, regardless if I was 96 pounds heavier or where I'm at currently in my journey, right? And I know, again, what is the intent of that comment? I know that the intent behind it is probably really good. But that's always my first thought was, what, like, I don't know, that doesn't make me feel necessarily good that you're saying that now, because I think I looked good beforehand.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I just told Maggie that I want to do another episode on things that I want to strike from the record, and that I'm just going to say it once, but I will really get into the conversation at that episode. But, she's pretty for a big girl. That one needs to go. So yeah, we will talk about that one in depth. But yeah, that I've never liked that. Like, or when it comes to them being athletic, like, because my daughter's on softball. And there were some bigger girls. Were they rock stars? Absolutely. But no one should ever be like, "Oh, well, she's a good player for a big girl." Like, nope.
And I'm sure that, men experience similar comments, like, "Oh, he's handsome for a big guy." Or, we've all, there's that stigma, that stereotype, and
I hate it.
So frustrating. So it does kind of validate some of those things.
Yeah.
And I often, it's like, am I overthinking things, or are people seeing me more now than they did before? Like, am I being acknowledged in these spaces more because of how it can get so complex if we let ourselves kind of go there.
Going back to the social media aspect of things, I actually, and I don't know if I even did this consciously, but I find myself if I'm ever complimenting somebody, it's always like, "Oh my gosh, look at how strong you are," or "Look at how far you've come." Like, I don't ever say about their body, like, "Oh, you're so skinny." Like, no, because that, for one thing, doesn't equal healthy or strong in any way. So I always I try to say things like that, I think, more often, because I'm striving for strength. I mean, Maggie, you've talked about that in your stories on your Instagram, like trying this new strength training, like looking for that strength and that healthy and that wellness. It doesn't have to be, "Ooh, I'm skinny." No, it's about the health and the strength. And so I like to be able to pump people up when I see them doing things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think I would much rather tell somebody how strong I think they are, other than how good I think they look, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Yeah. I do have another question, though. So this one, I don't know if anybody realizes, but I'm a super nerd. Like, I've mentioned it before. So this is a very nerd-centered question, but very topic-related. So for both of y'all, do we feel that, because Marvel, DC movies, huge right now. Do we feel that superhero movies are giving men an unrealistic idea of a body type? Told you, it's very nerd, but very still centered. Because I mean, I've even read articles that Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, his body double has asked him, "Can you not put any more muscle on? This is hard for me to maintain." Like, even him, he was like, I can't do much more, dude. I have a family. Like, I got things I got to do. I can't be in the gym all day, every day.
So Justin, do you feel any kind of pressure, or have you heard of anyone sharing pressure from those types of things?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody. I personally don't feel the pressure when I see people like in movies or TV shows and things like that. I think a lot of it comes from like comments from family and friends and partners and things like that, right? So I'm thinking, for example, like hetero relationship, a man and a woman that are, dating, and the wife goes and sees the Superman movie and comes home and is like, "Oh my goodness, Superman was so hot, so muscular, so skinny." I don't know if those comments affect another individual. I'm kind of speculating here, but that's kind of what, if I heard that from my partner, which I don't have a partner, but if I heard that from a partner that I had, I would start to think, okay, like subconsciously, like even consciously, like, okay, like, does this would I be a better partner or would I be a better friend if I looked like that?
Yeah,
so
if I looked more like this. I mean, even
I just love the questions Justin asks, like, to dig deeper. Like, it's brilliant. Like, I already knew that I liked you, but like, you're just so mindful and aware. Were you always like that, or is it just like you've just grown the skill? I mean, like, I think it's just awesome.
Thanks.
Digging deep.
The curious.
I mean, for those of us who watch the Marvel movies, like, I don't know if did you guys watch like the Avengers and all of that? Cause
yeah, like, I'm familiar with.
So did you realize when Thor let himself go, do you recall the phrase that everybody started calling him? When he looked like a normal human being, they called him Fat Thor. Like, he was now Fat Thor. And I'm doing my air quotes for our friends who are not on YouTube. And he had let his hair grow out. His beard was really long. And, but he looked like, an average Joe. But everybody's like, oh, it's Fat Thor. And that kind of irked me when that came out too. Cause then I don't want guys to see that and go, oh, so am I the Fat Thor or am I the Fat Iron Man? Like, I don't think that, like, I don't want people to have that in their brain. I just don't. And that bugs me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's just frustrating. And, I'm glad Justin brought that comment up because, I am in a hetero relationship with a man who I find very attractive, but does he have a Thor body? No. Do I expect that? No. But it makes me, because if he came in and was like, oh, so-and-so is so hot, or like, well, I would be like, excuse me? Hold up. Like, you think about, like, I don't look anything like that, right? So it makes me want, to be careful because I feel like men, like, in their society, it's like, don't talk about other women in front of your partner,
Yeah.
But I feel like we don't think about it the same way. It's interesting, so that was a great point. I had another question I thought of to ask Justin because with women, there's a big conversation around swimsuit season, bikini body. And I've always been I don't know a time where I wasn't okay with wearing a bikini. Like, I wore a 2-piece even at my starting weight because I was like, I have a body, I put a bikini on it, a bikini body, because I look how I'm gonna look, whether I have an extra few inches of material or not. But I know that there are a lot of women out there who do struggle when it comes to the beach season, the pool season. And I was wondering, Justin, have you ever felt pressure in a similar way when it's time to take the shirt off,
Yeah, I think that's a good question because I was thinking about this when I was listening to the episode about like summer and warmer months and things like that. I'm still not fully comfortable just like taking my shirt off when I'm doing whatever, going to the pool or whatever it might be, right? And that's just like me personally, but there are a lot of men out there that are very comfortable doing that as they're mowing their lawn or as they're at the beach. And I'm like, good for you for, going out and being who you want to be. But I have to think to myself, if I'm the only person, or I can't be the only person that doesn't feel fully comfortable ripping my shirt off. There probably are other men out there that feel the same way. And so for me, I've gotten more comfortable. Like last year, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I live in Indianapolis now. I went to Disney World last year. I've been to Disney World a bunch of times. I love Disney so much. But I went to Disney last year, and it was the first time since I had lost a lot of weight that I took my shirt off at the pool and took a photo and posted it on my Instagram. And I was like, that is progress for myself.
Yes.
Still
That's
today,
huge.
so I was like super proud of myself, but it took me so long to feel like I can finally go ahead and do that. And so I have to think that there are other men that also feel the same way, whether they're wearing shirts in the pool or at the beach or, maybe not even going to those places at all.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but my husband is one of those people. He's not comfortable with it. Even, I think yesterday, we were in the bedroom and he was taking his shirt off and I was staring at him just because I love him. I love him. I love every bit of him. And he was like, oh, are you looking at my gut? And I was like, no, I'm looking at my husband. Like, that hurts me that's what's going through his brain because I've never told him, you know what I mean? I've never made a comment about his size or his shape, but internally he's doing that. And all across the board, no matter what you identify as, I just really want to normalize being okay with you. You know what I mean? I know that's a really tall order because it's just ingrained in us sometimes. And like I said, with the newer generation coming up with so much more influence than like I did when I was growing, because I didn't have social media. I didn't have the Kim Kardashians of the world trying to lose 16 pounds in 2 weeks to fit into a dress. Like I didn't have that. So I really, 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 I'm like, how do we do this, guys? How do we make people love themselves?
Yeah.
Like I feel so, come on. Like I mean, I feel like, me and Maggie actually were just talking about how after our episode about, you know, summertime and the summer season, we had people messaging us on our Instagram thanking us because just that little bit, they were like, I wore shorts around my husband for the first time and he was so happy. I wore a tank top that I haven't done in years because of you guys. And you know what? Even if it's just one person at a time, like, oh, guys, just finding that confidence within yourself. Like I'm loving seeing the progression, but I hope we can keep moving in that direction.
Yeah. You know, Justin kind of reminded me of something because, you know, not only did he take his shirt off at a public pool, but then he took a picture and put it on social media, and you would think like that's like a really big step, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think in a way where I know that there can be haters out there, trolls, whatever, you know, nasty people. But for the most part, like we have community that is supportive and encouraging. And I feel like body positivity and body image is a bigger part of the conversation than it was even just a few years ago. And I think, you know, thinking about how I've built my confidence, I think social media actually did play a big role in stepping out in a 2-piece swimsuit or, you know, wearing the sports bra to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, because I at Orange Theory, you know, I think technically I do need to wear a shirt, just like rules wise. But at this new gym, you wear a sports bra, it's fine. So I was like, when I show up in a sports bra, you know, it's like, well, I posted my sports bra on social media all the time. So it's like, you know, I feel like it can actually be a helpful tool, especially if you've built that positive community. And I feel like the big part of WW and a lot of the wellness world is positive in nature and celebrating bodies. So
that's what I do love about our
point,
community.
Justin.
Yeah, it's so encouraging. It's so supportive, so encouraging. I do really love that. Woo! Yeah. All right. We've gone very far into this conversation, but it is time to start getting into our star goals and recommendations. So Maggie, do you want to go first? It'll go Maggie, me, and then Justin. How about that?
Yes. So y'all know I'm a wash, rinse, repeat girl when it comes to my goal setting. So we're still focusing in on tracking before we eat. Can be 30 seconds before, it can be 3 days before, it doesn't matter. And then I have been implementing the salad plate or, you know, kids plate idea of where I've just been like managing my portion, trying to see if I can feel satisfied off of that. And I'm a part of the Clean Your Plate Club, so I get to clean the plate, but still then evaluate like, okay, am I full or do I want to go back for another serving? So I'm just going to continue that one meal a day on the salad plate. So those are my goals. And then my recommendations, because I have a member friend and Insta friend, Joanne, if you're listening, shout out Joanne. But she's really been asking me to talk about, you know, wearing the tank top, wearing the shorts. How do we do it? And so, first of all, life is so short, and when we're on our deathbed, we're not going to be thinking about, I shouldn't have worn that tank top summer of 2022. Like, it's just not going to be on our hearts and minds. So I try to remind myself of that. But I think, you know, practicing by wearing the garment in your house, looking in the mirror, saying something positive, like, you know, even if it's if you're someone who takes your shirt off at the beach or is looking to do that, take your shirt off at home and just walk around and see yourself and take pictures and you know, just get used to the idea before we step out. I think that can be a helpful thing to do.
A good step forward. Yeah, those little steps we talk about. Maggie, did you happen to see that I found an article for last week that, yes, eating food on a blue plate is supposed to... Yeah, I was not crazy. I absolutely found it. Yeah, eating food off a blue plate or in blue bowls is supposed to lessen your appetite. I don't know what it is about the psychology. Yeah, I even found an article, and it's in last week's show notes. So if anybody wants to read that article, I found it. I wasn't crazy.
It's like, you know, I might consider it, but for now I'll stick with my Mickey Mouse and like palm tree plates that I have been using because they bring joy.
Oh my God, I love it.
What about you, Rachel? Star goal recommendation?
Well, I want to say for the summer episode, my star goal was to find a summer recipe, something that I want to try. And I actually did. I found a really, really great one on Instagram. And so I want to make that this week. I want to make it. And I think it was a cold shrimp salad. Looks so yummy. So I want to make that this week. I want to make it and I want to share it on Instagram and like let everybody know how I liked it. Cause I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, ooh, I could easily just, container this up and this could be a great lunch. Like if I do a kind of a meal prep thing with it, I really like that idea. Right. So that's my goal this week is to try that recipe and share it. And then my recommendation, I feel like kind of pulls off of yours and it's something that you could also do in tandem with yours. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the 3 good things technique. And essentially what that means is, you could do it regularly at a set time. You can write them down, say them out loud. And it's really just saying 3 good things out loud. I got to see, my favorite person today. It was a beautiful sunny day. And, I felt energetic all day, whatever the case may be. But this week, I want people to narrow that down to 3 good things about yourself. It doesn't have to be about your body. It could be about who you are. It could be about the way you present yourself into the world. But I want you to say it out loud. I want you to write it down. I want you to own it and do that for, 2 or 3 days in a row. And I feel like it's people, I know people probably be like, I don't have that many things to say that many days in a row. Just try for me. Take a shot. Because I promise
you can wash, rinse, repeat.
Yes, you will start to recognize things that maybe you did not even realize within yourself. So practice the 3 good things technique. That is my recommendation this week. So Justin's going to wrap it up now.
Well, can I do a quick tangent? Sorry, Justin.
Here we go.
Well, you were talking summer recipes, and again, here I am with an extra recommendation, but there's a YouTuber and an Instagrammer named Nikki Gets Fit, and I'll make sure to get this video to Rachel so she can put it in the show notes. She did a recent video on 4 prep ahead meals, and I thought of you with the summer because one was a pasta salad, one was a chicken salad, a tuna salad, and then a bean salad, and they were all just like light and fresh things you could keep in the fridge, eat cold, so I just wanted to add that on, and then recommend it to you also, Rachel.
Did you recommend? I feel like you recommended that Instagram when we had Ivana on. Remember when we were doing kind of our people
probably.
To follow?
I love Nikki, so probably.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that again. We'll link her things again, and then hopefully to that one because I'm down. I'm really digging like a summer salad ish.
Yeah. So
I like it.
Go ahead, Justin.
About the star goal piece for a little bit because I feel like I am also let me repeat my star goal every week.
Right.
Yeah.
My star goal for the last 6 months has been I want to ride my Peloton 2 times a week before work, and I just can't. Maybe it's because I'm working out in other areas like going to the gym or working out outside, but I just can't do that. So that is not going to be my star goal this week. I'm going to actually change it, and I think I am actually going to take a moment this week and think about what all has happened in the past 6 months. We're almost halfway through the entire year, which is
we just
crazy,
said that last week.
Scary.
Yeah.
We're
It's so wild.
through the year. I need to sit down and pause for a second and think, what happened over the past 6 months? What went well? What are some areas of opportunities? And what am I going to plan for? What are the next 6 months going to look like?
Yes.
In my wellness journey, in my life. There's so much that's happened in the past 6 months in my life. Wellness related and life related. And now I'm like, okay, you need to pause first of all, and then you need to figure out what's going on for the next 6 months. And so I think that's my star goal is to sit down one night this week and just pause for a second, write these things down, maybe meditate on it, write the 3 good things about myself. So I think that's going to be my star goal for the week ahead.
I like it.
Because I'm hoping that sets me up for, going back to fully tracking 7 days a week and being able to ride my Peloton before work and hopefully being able to do the things that I have been saying to myself I'm going to start working on or I'm going to start doing.
Yeah,
that's great, Justin.
So I think my recommendation this week is all about showing up. And I think it kind of comes off of Rachel and Maggie as you were talking. I was like, I think my recommendation is really just to show up because there's so much going on. Even today I was, I said it earlier in the podcast, like I'm not really feeling great about who I am physically, body image wise, things like that. But I still showed up at the gym. I still showed up with what I was going to eat. I still showed up at work today and did the things that I needed to do. And so my recommendation is that sometimes the hardest part is really showing up. And so sometimes the recommendation there is just to show up, because you'll feel better after you show up.
I love that, Justin. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated everything that you brought to the conversation. And I know Rachel will include Justin's social media in our show notes. I really encourage y'all go give him a follow, because it's just consistent positivity and showing up for himself. And I think that's inspiring to see. So we really appreciate you, Justin, for being here. I know we said that he's part of our WW world, but guys, he is a coach as well. He's a virtual coach and support. Y'all can search him if you're a workshop member, y'all can search him in the Studio Finder, Coach Justin, and check out one of his workshops for sure.
Come visit. Thank you all. It's so fun.
Well, Maggie, wait, last week we didn't say our quote.
Oh, the quote. I got it. Yeah. Don't ever let someone else's skewed perception undermine your own self-worth. That is Amy Atherton. Woo, woo. All right, everyone.
Yes,
Rachel?
So I know. I got to say it, guys. Thanks for dropping by.
And have a magical day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.